Hey everyone, Mike Rondo in the Shed of Solitude, and today's video is a little different, so I'm not sure how well this will be received, if it's that entertaining or informative, I'm not sure. Thank you everyone yesterday's video for giving your pipe smoking recommendations for tobacco. The reason I'm doing this video, my pipe smoking story, so to speak, how I get started and what I recommend and what I don't recommend. I don't know if I have it here. I have to dig through. I thought I had it here. Yes, I do. My original pipe. I think this is it. No, this is not it. Or is it? No, I don't know. I don't know. I think this is it. It's been so long since I've dug into this drawer. Anyway, never mind that. So, the purposes of this video is because, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, a fellow philosopher and a Stoic philosopher, Mike, who follows me on Twitter and on TikTok, sent me a message saying, you know, I've kind of inspired him to start smoking a pipe, which, to be honest, if you're into philosophy, you should be smoking a pipe because it kind of, I think, centers you. And that's one of the reasons I got into pipe smoking. So let me go back to my journey and I'll give a recommendation of what to do and what not to do. But I'm going to light this bad boy. Right off the bat, the big thing I struggle with when someone gets into pipe smoking, someone that's new, and I've inspired them to get into pipe smoking, which is weird to me that I would inspire someone or convince someone to try this. It's much like when I was podcasting and someone would listen to the Cantina Cast, which is a Star Wars podcast I used to do, for those who don't know. And they'd be inspired to start their own podcast. And it was very humbling and weird at the same time, but cool. So it's a weird thing anyway. But I was thinking of it because the thing I struggle with, get to my point, is what tobacco to recommend, because it's so subjective or objective. No, subjective. It's like, it could be any, for me, it's about mood, really, when it comes to my tobacco. But in any case, I did think of one blend for Mike to try, and you guys can leave your recommendations down below as well. Again, I'd appreciate that, as well as Mike. But the one I thought of, but first let's write this. This is a corncob pipe. This is the Diamond that I got at tobaccopipes.com. Interesting pipe. I haven't smoked in a corncob in ages, and the reason I'm smoking out of this is because, well, it's a hot day. It seems like it's appropriate, although it's not too bad. It's 78 here in the shed. It's at 9:44 in the morning, so it's not too bad. I got my fan cooling me off. But this is what I do recommend: a corncob pipe to start. They're cheap. That's why. So I don't know if this is really my first pipe. It might be. And the thing I wanted when I first got my first pipe, this looks like it. I think it is it. Although it's hard to say. I think it is. But anyway, it looks like my first pipe. So, and I don't know if I put a newer pipe in here and forgot about it, or this is the first pipe. But anyway, I wanted something special. I didn't want a corncob pipe. I was like, well, that doesn't appeal to me. I kind of want something Sherlock Holmes-like, and that's kind of what this is here. And I think it was about $80. If I had to guess off the top. It wasn't too expensive, but it was more expensive, obviously, than a corncob pipe. Now, if you're first starting out, you're not sure you're going to like this, and I apologize for the lighting kicking in and out, but I'm not turning these lights on because I'll melt in here. Is a corncob is cheap. Now, the thing I do recommend is getting one about this size. I wouldn't recommend this one too much. This one gets very hot, the bowl. Although I like it, it's pretty stylish. What I love about it, and this is what I do recommend, find one with a flat bottom so you can just put on the ground. You can't see that there. Maybe you can see it over here. You can just leave it there and you're good. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, I got horrible lighting today. Get one like that, and they're cheap, and I do recommend a corncob pipe. However, let me light this. Let me get some smoking going here. Do the old false light there. So definitely a corncob pipe to start. Because if you're not sure you're liking it, I'm not sure. Although Mike, I know he's a cigar smoker. I was too prior to doing this. I was really into cigars in the 2007, 8, 9, 10. Then I kind of slowly got out of it, and I did it sporadically. I wasn't as much. It was kind of that trendy thing. It's like when I played poker back in the day, in the early 2000s. You know, poker was all the rage, Texas Hold'em and that, and I used to play that with my roommate Brian and stuff, and my other friends. And I kind of got away from it for a while, but I do enjoy a good cigar. So if you like cigars, you probably wouldn't have too much of a problem liking a pipe. I don't think. I think pipes are more enjoyable personally, but that's just my opinion. Now with my pipe smoking journey, and I'll get to the tobacco record. I know I'm going to make you all wait. It's not the tobacco I'm smoking here. This is, although thinking about it, I'm smoking Gentleman Caller right now, and this is a blend that I absolutely love. It's probably in my top 5 really to smoke. It's so unique. It's so good. It's sweet. I just love it. It's just a damn good tobacco blend. I don't think it's for everybody, but for me personally, my taste buds seem to like it. And I don't think it's too bad for a starter blend, to be honest. It's not overpowering. This is probably something you should try after you've do the tobacco I've recommended. You want to do something a little different, go with this. It smells good too. So back to how I got into this, and I think my friend Joe had a similar experience with smoking tobacco pipes and tobacco. He just got into it a couple of months ago. I've mentioned it on the channel. He asked me, and actually he's got one of my tobaccos I forgot and I left there. Blood Cult is actually a pretty good tobacco to start with. That's one recommendation I would, and someone even mentioned it on here. I even saw it on, I think it was one of Tobacco Pipes or SmokingPipes.com. The top blends for beginners, I checked that out, and that was on there. So that I would recommend. But in any case, so back in 2019 when I got started in this pipe smoking thing, I'd watch several videos. It's funny because like April of 2019, I was into cigars. My buddy who was part of the EGM network, the podcast network I had, was really getting into cigar smoking, and he started a podcast with it, and he was really into cigars. And I was like, I kind of, me being me, I'm not really one to go with the flow with the group. So, and pipe smoking always intrigued me. So when we got back from Star Wars Celebration in April, I started watching videos, several videos, and I believe it was August of 2019, I took the plunge. I just said, frig it, I'll do it. I bought this pipe. I believe it was this pipe. And the problem with this pipe, I love this pipe if it is the pipe. It looks exactly like the pipe, and I think it is because I can see where there's actually a hole in this pipe. So when I'm smoking it, I have to hold here in order to get the flow because smoke comes out of it. It's a defect. I don't know what happened, but it's a shame because it's not a bad pipe. Hangs nice. It's not bad. And it's kind of a bummer. You'd think that like something like that would get you down. That's why I kind of recommend getting a corn cob. If it's got a defect in it, it's not that big of a deal. You just go buy another $5, $10 corn cob or whatever. No big deal. So after watching a lot of videos, George Bruno videos, who else? Mutton chops, matches, just going on and on and on. I was watching all those videos and I said, frig it, I'm going to do it. I did it. And then when it came to the tobaccos, I kind of went based on my mood. At the time, I remember I'm like, all right, I watched a video by George Bruno with Virginia Cream, and I got that. And to this day, it's still my favorite tobacco to smoke. Now, that's not for everybody. It's a lovely blend. I still love it, although I got to say, Gentleman Caller really kind of rivals that, to be honest. But so I took the plunge. I got a bunch of them. I know Virginia Cream, Haunted Bookshop I got, Quiet Night, Early Morning Pipe I think it was, and I got a bunch of them. And I just kind of experimented, which kind of after 2019, I was getting into it, and then I had to make the shed. In 2019, I came in here because I knew the winter was coming. So this was in August. So by October, I think it was, or September, I started making my little corner here in the universe to smoke my pipes and cigars and to hang out and to read. And the TV is just a later addition, and it's mostly to watch YouTube stuff, not TV in general, really. Or I have ambience in the background, like classical music or something. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I created the shed, and then the pandemic happens, and, you know, I was home for a while, smoking, enjoying things, and I was still watching videos, and then I got inspired to do my own YouTube channel in 2020. Was it July 5th, I think? 2020 was my first video, although I created the channel in June. And ever since I've been doing this, because it's kind of like the channel motivates me to keep exploring with tobaccos. I would do it on my own, but this intrigues me more to keep doing it and sharing my experience and kind of having a record of it, of what I think. And I want to do other things on the channel at some point. I keep saying this. For like 3 years, I've said I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and I haven't done it yet. So, hey, I'm human, I'm flawed. What can I say? But, so that's kind of the path I took. I just kind of winged it, which I don't really recommend. And I think my friend Joe did the same thing. And I'm kind of like that with most of the things in my life, where I kind of just say, you know what? F it, let's do it, let's try it, see where it goes. Almost like the scientific method of like, all right, let's try this theory, see if it works, let's test it. If it doesn't, we move on to something else. And that's pretty much what I did. Now, the tobacco, I feel, is the most key aspect of recommending this to someone, and not doing what I did or what Joe did, where you kind of just did it. Although, if you want to do that, go right ahead. I don't really recommend it. But the one I came up with before I started this video was No Bite Delight by Boswell. It's so safe. I don't think you... And I looked for... I know I have a tin, and I just moved my tins around, and it's probably buried somewhere, because I moved up the fall blends and the Christmas blends and the winter blends, because I'll be smoking those more. And I think I buried the No Bite Delight somewhere within reach, but I gotta admit, I was too lazy. And Gentleman Caller kind of popped out, and I was like, I got to have that. So, No Bite Delight, and I say that because I think other tobaccos might give you that aftertaste or the tongue bite. And No Bite Delight is pretty safe. It's not going to, unless you're puffing on it, even more so than I do in these reviews that I do. And I really apologize for the light cutting in and out on you guys. I'm sorry about that. But it is what it is. I'm not turning those lights on. So yeah, I would recommend No Bite Delight. I know it's a very safe. There's really, I mean, there's a little bit of flavor from what I remember, but not anything crazy. And like I said, after you smoke that for like a couple of days or a week or so, and you want to explore, maybe you get the No Bite Delight, and then you go and find another blend from Boswell's. You know, you might as well make it worth your effort smoking No Bite Delight. But you do need to get pipe cleaners, obviously. Some sort of tamper. I have golf tees. You don't need something fancy like that. I have them. Where are my golf tees? I know I got them around somewhere. I get so much crap hidden about. Oh, and of course, I do recommend after you get, and this is again subjective, it's all an opinion. I like 9mm pipe filters. So these are the little filters. They'll go into the stem and the shank there, in the bit, and it filters out things. I like it. I think it gives a good smoke, if you will. And the best part is it blocks the little pieces of tobacco that occasionally fly up the the stem and get you in the mouth, and you know, you don't want that. Although sometimes they get blocked, and that can be a problem too. So keep that in mind as well. You know, there's nothing foolproof anyway. But yeah, so get some of them. And the reason I recommend getting a flat pipe for a beginner, if you don't want to spend the money on a holder like this here, this holds the pipe, and this doesn't work too well, as you can see. I mean, it holds it, but it's really not that great. But it does for the round pipes. That works pretty well. They're pretty cheap. I think they're like at the Pipe Nook, it's like $2, $5, I don't know. something like that. And I do recommend the Pipe Nook for beginners. I think he has a good selection of tobaccos, interesting selections. He's got some good pipes, solid pipes, and he's got all the things you would need to get started. And I always prefer going to the Pipe Nook before anyone else, if I can. And I get some blends I got to review from the Pipe Nook. Two Friends, I think it's called. I'm curious if anyone else out there did what I did and Joe did and just kind of winged it and said, I'm going to try this, that, or the other and go from there. Now, luckily, when I tried Haunted Bookshop, which is actually somewhat of a strong blend, which I wouldn't really necessarily recommend to a beginner. I tried that and I actually loved it. It wasn't a big deal. And I don't know if it's because my tolerance with smoking cigars helped at all, which I don't think so. I'm not sure. And I apologize for the rat dogs from my neighbors over that way. It's not Rocky. Rocky's over here. He's not around today, surprisingly. I wouldn't recommend that, but I remember having it, and I absolutely love Haunted Bookshop. You know, it does help also that I love Christopher Morley and the Haunted Bookshop novel and Parnassus on Wheels and a few others of his stories. But to be honest, maybe go to the Pipe Nook, Mike, and try to get a tobacco, a mild tobacco. I can't think of any off the top of my head. You know, he's got a lot of Cornell and Deal tobaccos there. I'm sure you could find something. Get yourself a corn cob. Get yourself some pipe cleaners, a tamper. Just look around, kick the tires if you will. And I will recommend searching YouTube. The hashtag YTPC pipe smoking. The hashtags will be in my videos, so you can just click on it and you'll see hundreds of thousands of videos on pipe smoking and people far better than me at explaining where you should go and how to do things like tamping and all that stuff and packing your bowl, which is always interesting with me. Usually I'm pretty good with it. Sometimes certain blends I don't pack it well enough and it's not as good as it should be, and then I have some people telling me when I'm giving a fairly bad review or not a bad review or not so great review, they say, well, pack it this way or that way. So there's all these little nuances, which I think makes pipe smoking interesting on how to go about things, and each tobacco is kind of a little bit different than the other. And it's funny, I always used to say, do a lot of aromatics for a beginner. I've kind of changed my take on that, because I'm more into, I don't know, I'm not into aromatics as much as I used to be when I first started. I still like it for the fall and the winter, but like during spring and summer, and even throughout the year, I kind of don't go with the aromatics as much. And I don't know if that happens with everyone. I'm curious if that happens with all of you. If you started with aromatics, or you're heavy on aromatics, did you branch out into other things, or what? I know there's some people that are very much just aromatics, and whatnot, and they haven't really deviated so much. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's so different. Like each pipe smoker's reasons for pipe smoking and for, which blends they tend to go towards and stuff. Mine's all based on mood, really. Like a pipe has to call out to me and for me to, or be interesting, where I'd say, oh, I got to have that. Like this one's interesting as a corn cob, although it's getting warm, and I haven't smoked too heavy in this video compared to my other videos, and it's warm. You can feel it. It's warm. And when you put a Virginia in here, it's like touching a furnace sometimes. And I do not recommend smoking in front of a fan, because it makes lighting pretty hot. And actually, speaking of that, lighters, I would recommend, well, I mean, get a Zippo with a pipe insert. I think everyone should have that anyway, but I would recommend this right here. This lighter, what's the name of it? It's a Lotus. I believe I got this at tobaccopipes.com. It's about $40. It's pretty good. I had another lighter that I was using, another brand, and you'll see in my past videos the Discman one where it was kind of, it was an upside down lighter, and that worked great, but it failed more than anything else. I loved it, but this, tried and true, it works really well. I highly recommend that. Of course, my favorite cigar lighter, I'll just show it off here. I'm sorry if this is a long rambling video, but this one, I absolutely love this cigar lighter. I've had this, this is the Bugatti. Who makes this? I can't remember who makes this off the top of my head. But I've had this since I started smoking pipes, probably back in 2007 to 9, around that area. Fantastic lighter. I love that thing. The oldest lighter I have, actually. No, I think a Zippo. I think I have my Zippo longer, or right around the same. But this is good because this flame gets down, of course. There we go. It gets down. Zippos, the problem I have with Zippos is they only come, and I don't have a Zippo around here, which is strange. But when you do a Zippo, I'll use this for an example. You're right here. The flame goes down, but it doesn't. Some bowls you just can't reach. So keep that in mind. Oh, this is just such an interesting blend. It's so, I don't know, and I've had this for probably 3.5 years, almost 4 years. I've had this blend, and it's really, it's just interesting. But like right now, it's strong with the tongue, not the tongue bite. What do you call it? Deer tongue, which makes it really interesting. It's not even. It's just, I'm getting a spicy kind of note to it, which I never got before. So that's interesting. In fact, I got to get a bunch of Gentleman Caller. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, that's kind of my pipe smoking journey or start. I kind of winged it, and I don't necessarily recommend that. I mean, I didn't necessarily wing it, really. I watched a bunch of videos on people that have been doing this far longer than me, and I kind of just took the plunge because my philosophical side, my reading side, kind of compelled me to do it. And of course, I loved Sherlock Holmes as a kid, and he was a pipe smoker, and I was like, wow, you know, I kind of just, let's go for it. You're only on this earth for so long, so go for it. And I did that, and I have to tell you, reading and smoking a pipe, there is no greater pleasure in this world or enjoyment than reading a book, especially a good book with a pipe, especially a philosophical book or a book with pipe smoking in it. It's just a special thing, and I highly recommend it. I love sitting in here. Usually on a Sunday, I'll sit in here and I'll read. Last fall, I was in early winter. I was reading. Who was I reading? Ralph Waldo Emerson. Yeah, I was reading him. Was it him? Where is he? I know he's around here somewhere. I had him somewhere. Where did I put him? Well, I was reading Nature. And I'd come in here, I'd read like a chapter or a page, and I'd smoke a pipe, and it was almost like a religious experience, I guess, and I'm not religious, so it was like a Sunday service, if you will, for me, and it was just so enjoyable, and I highly recommend it. It certainly lowers, well, it helps with the thought process of what you're trying to read, or especially philosophy or something like that. It calms you right down, and it makes you focus, because then you get into the tamping, lighting, kind of doing your thing, and your mind strays into getting into the zone, so to speak, at least for me. And there's nothing better than when you read a passage, a quote, a paragraph, or whatever it may be, and it gets you to think, and then you light your pipe, and then you think on it more clearly, like you focus on it as you're smoking the pipe. It gives you that, you get to do that. And it's really, not only that, as George Bruno says, this is like the original pointer. So when you're reading a book, this makes a good thing to keep you place while you're reading. You just go along, read with it. Now, you got to be careful with your spit. You don't want your spit on your pages. But, Mike, I hope this kind of helps you. I may send you a DM with some links later this weekend. I'm a little busy later today. I'll be swimming because it's going to be 1,000 degrees, and me and my daughter will be swimming and talking Star Wars, and I got to get the pool stuff ready for tomorrow because I got to close the pool on Friday because Saturday, I guess Hurricane Lee will be around or something, maybe, possibly. It's going to rain, so I want to get that all done. So I'll probably this weekend send you some links and go from there. And anyway, that's going to do it for the video. Sorry if I went too long. I know this probably won't be I don't know, an intriguing video for most, but hopefully some new pipe smokers find some benefit with this. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'm going to finish this bowl, and I will talk to you guys later.